Oh hi, here's my vlog. I haven't done one for a while. This is for June 26th, Monday at 12:17 p.m. I didn't do a video for a while because my mom told me to not do it because I don't know, I had some like legal stuff, but my mom told me not to talk about it. So I guess I won't. Yeah, I even deleted like a video I uploaded. 2 videos that I uploaded. She's always trying to get me to not do videos. Anyways, yeah. I don't think I'll talk about anything in my personal life, actually. There's a lot of drama going on right now between my mom and I and my brothers. Um, yeah, my mom was like threatening me not to say this, but she said I'll regret it, but I think I'm going to say it anyway. This morning, I was at my mom's house, and she goes, quote, "If you made money with your website, your brothers would respect you." And then does one of these, and then goes, "It's the way of the world." And I was like, whoa. You want to say that again? And I held my phone up to her. You want to say that again? And she's like, mm-hmm. So I said it. And I was like, well, then make a murmur with your voice to prove that you're here, because I just said it in front of you. She's like, no. And I was like, oh, I got your voice. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. And I'm being generous by leaving it at that, because I've got a lot that I could say. That's why you don't want to piss off somebody with a YouTube channel. So anyways, I'll just talk about my website and try to start from scratch tomorrow. But you're never going to hear me say anything about my family. It's only my website from now on. So anyway, since the last time I did a video, I was uploading the title of my last 2 videos that are up right now. I was uploading like my backups from all of my hard drives. I stopped doing that though. I haven't done that since I was uploading videos because I can't find my cables and shit. I did find my missing hard drives. They're on my mom's table on the top of her freaking dining room table for 4 days after she was looking for them for 4 days because she doesn't know what a hard drive looks like. So whatever. Must not have been meant to find them. But I have all the time in the world to do it. I have unlimited. And also I've been addicted to my site because yeah, so I've lived here alone like the last week. So I have been just in a trance basically, working my ass off. I've barely been eating. I've been eating like a salad. Every day I eat a salad and a tomato soup. An energy drink, maybe 2. So I'm barely eating anything. Yeah, and I'm not going out in my living room and cleaning because I don't have to, because I don't have a roommate. So I'm just letting all the ferret shit pile up. And because I decided to go ahead and do word counting of all of the chapters of all of the books from India, of all of the books on my site that I did. So yeah, and fix the books. But I think it was about that time where I stopped doing the videos to try to do the Rig Veda or the Mahabharata. So, yeah, I did the entire Mahabharata where I counted all, and I don't know how many there are, but and I had to add 100 because it wasn't right. I know it's crazy. Every time I work on my site, I work on a page, I realize that that it's like way more fucked up than I remembered. Like to the point, I realize that it's so fucked up that it barely even works. Like it's like basic, and I had no idea. I thought I was done with Mahabharata, but I was looking at there was one that had 10 extra chapters on the body, but not on the menu. There was another that had, or the menu or the body, whatever. There's one that had 100 extra on the body and not the menu. Like everyone had a problem, and but anyways, I was counting the numbers on those on the chapters, and and now I'm doing Rig Veda, which has like 1,056 of them. So you have to do the word counting and then put the word in. And and then I'll do all of the other. Once I'm done with the Rig Veda, maybe today, I don't know. I will then go and do the rest of the books, the Vedas, and then go and do all of the books that I have. Make sure that the word count is on the menu and on the body for the page number as well as the time. So, that I don't think I was originally going to do that like with the Mahabharata because in the Indian books because it was just daunting, too big. But I kind of thought about it and realized that that I have to do it, and so so I decided to go for it. But I wanted to be done with it before I start questioning myself. I've been having trouble concentrating over the last week. I was doing really well listening to books, but I'm going to start doing it again with my cell phone now that I have the page numbers on all the chapters because that is what I needed. I want to know exactly how long it takes to get through a chapter because I want to calibrate that in my head. I have like what ADHD, low attention span. I think everybody does these days, which can make it difficult to focus. Focus on a book. Just simple learning. I think a lot of people these days are like learning disabled from having too much ADHD. And so, for example, if I'm listening to a book, I could start daydreaming and then lose interest. But if I'm listening to a book and doing it chapter by chapter, and I know the title of each chapter, but if I don't know the title of each chapter, helps with or without, but especially without, if I know the time, if I know how many words it is, and then how long it takes to get through, then I can do it in these segments, Even with me working on the computer, I could be like, you just get back on the phone or the computer and you just do the next one and hit play and that way, or you could do the bigger ones, or that take longer, but you look at how long each one is. So then you're listening to it, and then when it's done, you go, okay, so that was 1 minute and 14 seconds. And so that helps you stay focused on the subject matter because it keeps you from getting ADHD by giving you another thing to focus on, how big the page is. And so, but it also connects everything because a lot of the other things on my website have to do with seconds. You have to know what a second is, and seconds passing by for the bike racer level stuff. And I also have it for, how how long takes to get through chapters. You know, when you have speeches, you have a certain time. They would have about 10 minutes in ancient Athens. I know that because it was an 1/8 wide drill bit, 1/8 inch wide drill bit, uh, in a gallon of water, and that takes about 10 minutes to go out. I read that on like a website, but another way to estimate how long it takes to get through a speech is Cicero's speeches, and they're usually like 1.5 pages. So that's about 10 minutes if you're speaking at like courtroom speech pace. So it's consistent. Um, I'm yawning so much that I've got tears cut out both my eyes. I didn't sleep last night at all. I've been nocturnal, but I had to go somewhere this morning, and so I was just I didn't want to be tired, you know. So I didn't want to work all night, so I was just kind of like laying here with insomnia. But it's kind of making me like yawny. Maybe it'll turn me diurnal for tomorrow if I pass out tonight as the sun goes down. But I've been completely I've been completely nocturnal, which means that I usually get to sleep at about over the last few days. I've been getting to sleep at about 9 in the morning, or whatever, 8, 9 in the morning, and then I open all my shades so the wind blows through both sides, here and here, and I can be naked, and I just can listen to the birds and soak in the sun. Like most of a lot of this light is sunlight, direct sunlight. Like the only now there's no light. There's no light in this room at all. No artificial light. That's all sunlight. So yeah, so I like to sleep like that. I love to sleep in the bright daylight. And I actually don't sleep. I don't I don't ever get fully to sleep. Like when I sleep during the day, the most that I actually sleep is kind of like catnappy, kind of like yeah. But I don't ever. I don't know if I ever get to sleep, so I can go like a week or whatever without actually getting REM. That's what it seems like. Yeah, but it's hard when you smoke weed all the time. It's like really hard to know when you fell asleep, when you will, if you fell asleep, because you never dream. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. Um, so I was trying to listen to. I listened to the Book of Enki from Audible because I got an Audible credit on the 7th, and I blasted through that. Wasn't able to really pay attention to that much because I was doing work here, but I was able to make really good progress because I've been alone, just working my ass off, and maybe by the next couple of days, maybe like in a week, I will be able to, I don't know, week or two, finish all of the links. Hopefully, maybe in a week, next couple of days, finish all of uh, the word count on all of the chapters on all of the books that I have on my site, every one, and then have the word count on the top, on the menu, and on the bottom. If I can do that, that's something, that's a major thing out of the way that I wasn't even planning on, that I was scared to do. I wasn't even planning on doing it. So that's going to be a major like confidence booster. even if it kind of like gobbled up time, like I kind of forgot to pay attention to how long I was even doing this. Even if it's like halfway through July, I don't care. So, anyways, once I'm done with those books, I could finally get back to resizing the education page again. So it fits in by making the right size images for the number visualization, because I never finished putting that on there. Kind of abandoned it way through to do this. But yeah, I need to do that, and then like if I were to work on my free audio history book, my free audio book from Kindle and LibriVox pages on my site, that would take like a month to fix up. So there's lots of different ways I could do. I'm not going to get lost in my Google Earth, because I'm trying to get the service level of the site up to snuff. But last night, because I didn't want to work, because if I had worked all night last night and then gone in at 9 this morning, dude, I would have been like passing out, yawning my ass off. So I was just laying in bed like this, on my belly and on my back. I was working on something. I had to write something until like, it turned out I didn't have to write it, but I thought I had to write something. So I was up until like 2 on that. But the rest of the night, I don't ever get the chance to just think, because I'm working all the time. And copying and pasting, even if you're not listening to anything, copying and pasting, enough to make sure that you're doing it right, gobbles up enough like brain memory, like RAM, is it organic RAM, to make it so that you can't think things through. You never get an opportunity to think anything, because you have to pay attention. And if you do think, like, and especially if I'm listening to a book, I'm always listening to a book, so all of my brain has to go to the book, and anything left over goes to the work that I'm doing, which sometimes make me screw up with the work, even when it's simple. But if I start daydreaming with my work, I can only daydream. I couldn't like do any hardcore thinking. So last night, for the first time, I was able to think, because I never have to show up somewhere in the morning, so then have to be up all night, like twiddling my thumbs. So as I was staying up last night thinking, for the first time in a long time, I came up with a badass web page concept for my website. So I have, I have time visualization with my timeline, but that's like long time, like in terms of thousands of years and hundreds of years and millions of years. But that would be cool. Yeah, time like page that does it in terms of like minutes and seconds. And I wanted to integrate everything that I have to help with everybody's, ADHD, right? When you integrate everything, it forces your brain to just go all over. I think that's what ADHD is all about, dude. Like, in this day and age, everybody's mutating into human 2.0. So we're all going through a mental upgrade, like a IQ upgrade, a mind upgrade. So the ADHD, I think, is everybody's desire, because of all the new stimulation everywhere with the computers and information age and different kinds of people connecting and new information coming out, that it's making people want to kind of brains explode. And so I don't think it's like adding all this extra information, because this is a complaint my mother has. If you put too much, in the website, it'll overheat people's brains. I even had to have friends say that once. But I think it's the opposite. I think, I think you need all that information to cool people's brains down, to keep people from daydreaming. If you create a structure, then they're going to be too busy trying to keep track of all the information you're giving them to, drift off. So, like, for example, what I did was, before I did this whole thing I'm doing now with the like number count, well, word counting on the different chapters, I was I was installing a sidebar on my site so that you could compare all the different sites with the different styles, because some pages have just people, like dots of representing people. Other pages have words, other pages have charts, other pages have, different densities of words. And so it doesn't always correlate how many pages a word is to how far down. You don't even know how far down it is anyway. The only way that you know how long a page stretch is how big the sidebar is when you're dragging it. But that's kind of eyeballing it in a not accurate way. So that's when I decided to put on the sidebar on either side, and it looks way better. It only takes, they're 20 pixels across on either side, only gobbles up 40 pixels, um, and so then I wanted to, and I made it 10 myriad. So I made it a myriad. I think is the biggest. So you have it by thousands, 1 to 1,000, and then you have that 10 times, because you can show which one of the thousands it is based on the background, what color background it is. So you can get to 10,000 where you look at it, take one look at it, and easily know what it is from 1 to 10,000 with just a 20 by 20 pixels. So that's cool. And then I wanted to figure out, make a correlation of that with distance, because I have Google Earth that has distance stuff in it, and Bike Racer level stuff that has all the distance of things. And so I wanted to figure out, and I haven't done this before. Oh man, I just got like a tired pang, like I'm about to pass out. I can't do it. After I do this video, I'm gonna close my eyes and see if I have a nap. But I love sleeping the day because my heart rate is low. Like, I noticed this morning at like 4 in the morning, and it happens all the time, but I was just like noticing it again today. Like, my heart was going, and I was like wired. Like, I had just drinking like a bunch of coffees. Like, I was wired, like almost like my body was buzzing. And now I'm totally relaxed, and it's like that every day between like 3 and 4 in the morning, 3 and 5. That's when I'm the most awake. It's like I don't know, some kind of energetic thing with the planet. But anyway, I said that because I was like passing out now. But so what I was saying was, I want to know how far down, in terms of miles, 1,000. Well, I guess in 10,000. Number icons is 20 by 28 pixels. Icons is the 10 myriad. So if you can picture, and I haven't figured this out yet, but if you picture a 20 by 20 pixeler as being a house, a 10 meter by 10 meter house. That's how big I have. That's how big your average house is, like a cabin. And then next to the row on the side, like on the inside, there's this gap from the tables that shows like the color of the background. And so that's really a sliver, but it's like 10 times. I don't even know. I'll have to look at the website. I'm gonna do a screen capture after I do this to look at it and analyze it. But it's basically the same dimensions as like a sidewalk in front of a house. So you can picture them as a row of houses with a sidewalk, And so if you make the houses 10 by 10 meters, then you can calculate how far, you would have to calculate, I guess, how far between the houses, but how far it is to get to 10 myriad. And if that ends up being like a round number, then you could adjust the size of the houses to make that 10 myriad a round number, like 10 miles or 10 kilometers or something. If not, maybe you round it up. You just use it as, you make it the exact number that you make the houses as being 10 meters across. But so then you know how big it is. And that way, that's another thing to visualize as you read a book. Like, and up on the upper left side of the corner of the book is you have all the data. Because I have so much data per book. How many pages it is, how many chapters there are, average size per chapter, and of course below you have the size of each chapter on the menu and on the body. But if it's a history book about a story, page per year density. Have you heard of that before? No. First time for me. And I think I even have it on like a lot of my books. But but then you could do words. I think I already said that. But then you could do pages like distance down in terms of how many numbers, which then can correlate into distance in terms of miles. So it could be like this book is 50 miles. So then last night I was thinking to myself how I wanted to make a time graph of, not of like millions and hundreds of years like with my timeline, but with like living world, like a time trial, like a 20 minutes, 5 seconds, like how long it takes to do a time trial, or how long somebody is in front of somebody else in a time trial and stuff, real world stuff, all the way down to like a second and physical stuff. And the reason, God fucking damn it, just a second. My asshole roommate, not asshole roommate, my asshole neighbor who lives below me is fucking spying on me. He's hanging out down there smoking a cigarette. I could smell it coming in my room. So, he's always does that, smokes cigarettes like a chain smoker. He was doing that this morning. I have to close my window all the time during the summer. Anyway, so the reason that I came up with this idea in the first place was I was laying awake last night, imagining the Titan sub, right? That horrific Titan sub incident. I don't think, if I was a rich dude thinking of doing Titan, I don't think I would have gone down in that thing. I would have talked to people. I would have heard people's, things about it, and I would have looked at it and seen that it's carbon fiber and it makes crackling sounds when you go down, and obviously is going to have a much smaller number of cycles you can do on it. That, like, oh hell no, it's gonna implode for sure. But anyways, the thing imploded at 3,500 meters down, only 300 meters above the bottom, at like 12,000 feet. And so I think somebody said that when it cracked and the water came in, and they shouldn't have, put different composites together. It probably went through like the glue, between two of them. But the water came in at 1,500 miles an hour, which is 3 times the speed of sound. So the people didn't even. So maybe, as the water's coming in, their eye saw it, because speed of light's faster than 1,500 miles an hour. But the problem is the message to get from the eyeball to the brain, this is what they say, is longer than it would have taken the body to get squashed. So they didn't even get to have a thought like, oh shit, Like they didn't even, unless they heard the crackling. That's what James Cameron said. They heard crackling, which is frightening. They all would have known that they were just about to die from the crackling. But once the water came in, all they heard was crackling, and then they were gone. They didn't hear or see any water come in, because it, yeah. So that's kind of, I mean, and that's what they say. I actually want to study it to make sure, so that's actually a comforting thought because that would be frightening, right? But what happened was because they were so far down, um, it compressed it and it made it as hot as the sun. So it burnt them all to like a crisp, but it was only in a split second. So they like, I guess, turned them into a gel as hot as the sun, and then it just squished them all out, you know. So all of the like meat from their bodies just got like shot out in these tiny little strings out off into the sea of like body material, and then the air like went to the surface in like little microscopic little bottles bubbles. And so that's kind of like, you know, like if you see the stuff get squished and then it all comes out. So that's just like a disgusting thought to happen to 5 people. But I was like imagining that in terms of like thousands of seconds. And so that gave me the idea. I was like, oh, I need to make a I need to make a chart for that, because I have a chart for distances of things with the time trials and Google Earth. You know, I've got distance all figured out, but I don't have time figured out in the same way. And so I was sitting there like, okay, so should you do it with Google Earth? I mean, should you? Well, I guess Google Earth is a way. Should you do it with your website, you know, HTML, or should you do it with Photoshop? And then I was like, okay, oh, you could do it with the sidebar. Okay, then do it the website. Because the sidebar, actually, the sidebar is image. Huh. Right. So I'll use Photoshop to throw images in there. But yeah, so use the sidebar. So you do it with the website. So I decided to make it. Oh yeah, because I was saying I also have the space. I have the power of 10 for size. So why not do that for time? The same thing. So on my page, you know, power of 10, like 10 meters across, and then the next one's 100-meter across, and then the one before it would 1 meter across. So, and then you can click on the side to jump immediately to which one. It's really cool, that the one that I have, because, you know, for example, um, we're about exactly in the middle of the size of everything, from a electron to the universe. To the universe is positive 36, and an electron is like negative 22. You know what I mean? It's really similar numbers. So, but so I came up with the idea of using the sidebar. So, um, I've just figured out in my head that it takes about 1 second for sound to travel through water 1 mile, because water sound travels through water 4 times faster than the air, travels through water 540 meters a second. 540 meters times times 3 is like is like 1,500 meters, which is like a third of a mile. So I guess 3,000. 3,000 of that, and I don't know the distance of that because I haven't figured it. But that's how far like sound travels through water in a second. Sound travels through water or through air like 1 foot in a millisecond. And so I decided to have like a 10,000 as like a second. Or maybe it was 1,000 as a second. Right. I decided to have 1,000 as a second, right? Because millisecond is a concept we use, and I have 1,000. So one of the little houses I have represents a millisecond. And so you would have the center one where 1,000 is a second, and then the next one down would be where 1,000 is a tenth of a second, and then the next hundredth of a second, and then the millisecond, and then you have it go the other way. 1,000 is a second, and then 100 seconds, 1,000 seconds, which is 16 minutes 40 seconds, and I think that's the last one. So you have the 7 time dimensions. You have 1,000 as a second, and then 1,000 is 1/10 of a second, 1,000 is 1/100th of a second, 1,000 1/1000th. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,000 is a second. 1,000 is 10 seconds. 1,000 is 100 seconds. 1,000 is 1,000 seconds, which is 16 minutes. So you go from a millisecond to 16 minutes 40 seconds in 7 time dimensions, where 1,000 represents that. So it goes up and down in size, just that you can compare the two between the one next to it, just like how the power of 10 does. And so you can plug in all 100 levels of the bike racer level, but you wouldn't do it individually. You just do it in like inside of the level, like with the ranges, the 7 ranges, all the different like sports cars from the ages, famous sports cars, animals, and then in the small section you could do like light, the speed of light. Like if you get in the extreme smallest range, highest range, and then you could put the light in the that would fit maybe the length of like one of the houses with something else on the top that's you can conceptualize like sound. And so you would see the visualizations of things moving in terms of speed between the very slow and all the way up to light with everything in between. And then you could plug in all the stuff I already have on my website, like with the bike stuff, and then I have like Google Earth stuff with planes and stuff. I actually lost that, but I'd rebuild it. And so that's a good, and then so that can be its own page, and that's another thing to visualize as you're reading books and as you're looking at all the other pages on my site. You're going, oh, I remember, this is how far light went down on this dimension, and this went, this bike racer level page, speed page, or car speed, or whatever, on this dimension at this number, and that reminds me of that's where how far that book went, or how many population is, and it's just a smorgasbord of information, and it's not like overwhelming because it's all organized. So it's you deciding to conceptualize it when you're ready for it to, to absorb it. And so, yeah, that was a cool idea. Of course, to build something like that, that's like its own project, like the computers are faster and I'm better now than I was, and I'm more prepared with all the other stuff I'd plug in, but I still wouldn't want to mess with anything like that, until I'm like past where I'm at now. Like I've tied up the loose ends on everything, because like, for example, last week, this is funny. Last week, I went to the second dispensary that I go to. The first one I go to is the farm. But then there's the one Mako, which is like a block farther. Farms went the next block. Mako is like 2 blocks. I kind of realized I've been going to the farm in the morning, but I can't really get there in the morning. And I realized Mako's cheaper. So I kind of been going to Mako more. So I went into Mako to get weed the other day, like a week ago. And like all of the people there, they're trained to say, "What are you doing the rest of the day over there?" Not at the farm, but at Mako. They're actually the most friendly there than anywhere. They're not very friendly over at Terrapin Station, or at least one guy wasn't there. That guy completely melted down on me. Another story. Or Magnolia. But anyway, I go into Mako and the guy goes, "So what are you doing the rest of the day?" And I go, "Working on my website." And he goes, "Oh, what page?" And I was like, that's usually a question somebody asks you if they're like already know your website. So I was like, just it's like a overall website. It's like a general education website. And he goes, "No, I mean like what page on your website are you working on today?" And I was like, because he goes, "Because Sam and we were looking at it." And I was like, "Oh." But then he goes, "Doesn't make any sense." I was like, I go, "Yeah, that's because it's in a state of transition." But you see, that's the problem. Like, I can't give a tour to my website. Like, I want to give a tour of my website to my mom. I tried to the other day, and then she came over to get it, and then I was like, I actually don't want to. Because everything I show her, nothing's going to work. Like, none of the links. But all of my pages are like that. That's the problem. And people get confused, and they don't realize that they're looking at a page that's not finished. Instead, because all the pages are like that, they think they're just looking at a crazy website. That makes no sense. And that's what I kind of realized as I was working on all these books, is that none of them are freaking done. Like, they're all, the links don't work. It's like, oh my God. So, and it's the same thing with every section. I know that. I know. So, anyway, so I'm just gonna just stay focused. I'm gonna need to, there's a lot of things I have to do. I'm gonna work for maybe today and maybe tomorrow, but there's house things I have to do. I have to pay my taxes. Never pay my taxes. I have to get on like TurboTax tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it with my mom, but we're like fighting. So maybe I could just like make up with her long enough to go over there and do it. It stresses me out to do it here. In my house, I'm stressed out about my house right now. Like, I don't even want to go in the living room. I'm just freaked out by my house. I just want to stay in my room. But but I have to change insurance and God damn it, there was something else. Um, anyway, well, I can't remember what I was talking about, but yeah, there's lots of things I have to do. Well, I guess pay taxes, but um, I'm really in debt, so I'm a little bit worried about money, and a little bit worried that I don't know. I have to get a roommate and get rent, and I don't want my brothers to freak out and like try to get me to get a job because they want rent and shit. So I'm just gonna focus on my work and try to get done. I think by the end of the year, we're pretty much like halfway through the year. By the end of the year, my website's gonna be like trucking along, dude. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be in danger of getting any more of those "it doesn't make sense" comments. Like, I'm doing surface level stuff, and I think the stuff will be making sense by the end of the year. And all I have to do after that is tie up the loose ends on the deeper end and other stuff like that page I wanted to build. So, anyways, I've talked for 45 minutes, but that's because I took like a week off just to try to focus on these books. Yeah, I'm gonna go and try and finish Rig Veda today. The counting how many words in all of the chapters. Before I thought that was crazy, but now it makes sense. But I'll explain it after. All right, talk to you tomorrow.